Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys.
Everything sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel Podcast. This is the Twilight Saga edition. We are pitching sequels today. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, the man who says yes to all the Twilight movies being good, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Hello, Tom.
Hikers have been killed by a bear. They can't find the bear. Good job Bella isn't in charge of writing the news.
That's great.
Just to take you all the way back to New Moon and remind you of some of the quality dialogue.
I was going to say some of the best quality dialogue from your
that's
second
that's
favorite
lifetime
movie.
standard. That really is.
All right.
That's a great game. Lifetime or Twilight.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Although,
All right.
You know, if vampires are mentioned, you probably know it's Twilight.
Right. So here's the thing. Normally in a series like this, it would wrap up in such a way that making another sequel would be difficult. Twilight Saga, not so much. They give you such a big out. Huh?
What's left? What's left? I was gonna say what's left, as if that had an end to the sentence. No, what's left?
What's left? What are you talking about? Everything that happens at the end of Breaking Dawn Part 2 doesn't actually happen.
But there's a very
The
clear
Volturi
resolution.
and the fucking Cullens separate, but everybody's still alive and you can still battle.
Yeah, but he doesn't say, "I'll get you next time, Gadget." I mean, it's like...
But all you need, Tom, is, of course, one big misunderstanding to ignite another feud.
You've got me there. Maybe that misunderstanding would happen before they left.
No, of course not.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, it wrapped up nicely for me. I'm glad you see so much potential. It must mean it's good storytelling.
Such a jackass. How dare you? Was this easy for you, or talk to me?
Oh, it's very hard for me.
Really?
Yeah, well, I think I can, yeah. I mean, I think your approach, you've got your screenwriter hat on, I think.
Yeah, I'm
And
delighted
sort of
by
saying
this pitch.
It's like, you know, you're thinking of like what's left on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, I'm perfectly satisfied. And I'm attached to these movies in a way that I don't want to fuck with them. And as we know, that's sort of my raison d'etre when it comes to big sequels. Like, how can I fuck with this formula? And I didn't want to do that here, and I walked away from a pitch that would do exactly that to a more conservative pitch, which I feel is better
I want to hear that
suited
first one.
to this franchise. Yeah, because you know I have to think about movies that I would actually watch. Just in case you didn't know, I'm clearly not thinking about that in any other context.
Of course not. But here's an interesting question that I don't think we tackled in the Harry Potter series. Do you have to, like, when you end your series on a two-parter, is it okay to have another sequel after that?
Has it happened?
No, not that I can think of.
I can't think of any instances of that.
I mean, there's not a lot of two-parters either. Like, Beyond.
What about Hunger Games? Are the two part of the last movies in the Hunger Games series as well?
I don't think so, but I don't know. I don't remember for sure.
I mean, I guess the multi-part movie doesn't necessarily have to end the series. It could be in the middle of the series, because all you're essentially saying is this story needs to be told.
For my
over
Harry
two
Potter,
movies.
it's more at the beginning because I was, ready to go 18 more years of sequels.
And you say I like critical judgment. Yeah, it's so it's a really good point. I think. Well, let's see how we both handle it, because we're de facto doing it.
That's true.
We're just by the nature of the format.
I know you're gonna want me to go first, but I kind of want you to go first, just as a punishment, because you loved these movies so much.
Yeah, this is your punishment. And by the way, you're having way too much fun.
You're right. I forgot that.
I'm seriously disappointed.
I forgot that these were supposed to be my punishment.
When we did the just to pull the curtain back, we don't necessarily record all of the each series in one sitting.
Oh God.
And in the middle part,
there are only 24 hours in a day, Tom.
Right, we were laughing, we were joking, we were and I left that session. I was feeling great because anyone who does podcasts or listen to podcasts know when it goes right, there's nothing better. There's no better feeling of like when everything gels. And I was like, no, that wasn't the purpose of this exercise. Some punishment. I'm gonna have to redouble my efforts to find something seriously alienating. But what was I talking? What were we talking about? I was saying you're way too much fun.
Yeah. Well, we were just debating on who should go first.
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right.
If you want. I think yours will be worth waiting for, and mine wouldn't. So.
Okay, fine.
So,
I kind of want to know your first pitch. Do you want to bullet point that first pitch?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the origin story of this pitch. So my initial idea was because one of the things that I think is inherently distinctive and interesting about the vampire genre is what I've referred to before as the Highlander dimension, not realizing that there is a Highlander sequel called Highlander Dimension. By the law of averages, that was going to be true. But this idea that because vampires are immortal, you can go to different periods in history, you can mix up the genres. So I wanted to go full like dystopian science fiction and like take the idea of immortal storytelling to the max and set my sequel 1,000 years in the future. As the song says, be with you for 1,000 years. I'd be like, what would that actually look like? And it'd be like that. They would basically be the remnants of the Earth before.
I was gonna say, it sounds like you want to Jason X this shit.
Yeah,
Kinda.
but it would be the Earth would be basically die. The Earth would be
vampires
dying.
in a Blade Runner world.
Yeah, exactly. So the vampires would be there with the last surviving humans. And what stopped me? So I don't think it's a bad idea, because when we do vampire stuff, we go back in time instead of forward in time, which I'd never really understood. Like, if they live forever, why aren't we setting vampire movies in like the year 3375?
Right.
When there be, you could have a Planet of the Apes vampire crossover. Patent pending. But I just didn't see the potential for romance there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what held me back. I also thought of how bummed I would be if I learned there was a new Twilight movie and then that was the story.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking of it from both those perspectives. It's like, how do you mine the romance here? So I went back to the drawing board and this got to be a first. My title for this pitch is simply The Twilight Saga: Breaking Dawn Part 3.
Oh, wow.
Never happened. I'm not turning any of those letters into numbers. I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
No unnecessary grammar. It's all. It's playing it by the numbers.
This is a Tom Stewart I do not know.
This is how much I enjoy these movies. But the other kind of rationale is, as we discussed these movies, I started to realize that the first 3 movies in the series form a nice 3-act storyline with 1 movie per act. So
right.
I thought, well, let's do that with
all right.
Let's do that with and just formally call it Breaking Dawn Part 3 in the same way that you could have done that with the first 3 movies. It could just have been New Moon Part 1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll take it's a little bit of, oh yeah, the first thing I have to do, this is another first. We have a time machine that we can use here.
Right.
And pitch a sequel. But I'm going to use it to go back in time and change something in Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Oh my god.
Well, not change something, but adds to something. So, in the same way, Breaking
I'm not
Dawn,
sure that's the purpose of our time machine, Tom.
It's a little ethically dubious, but I have this time machine, and we're figuring out the etiquette of that as we go. So, in the same way that Breaking Dawn Part 1 ends with a post-credit sheen, I want Breaking Dawn Part 2 to have... So I'm going to add a post-credit scene.
Right.
Which is basically the Voltari walking away from the standoff.
Right.
And, everything that might... Basically, we'll get a little recap of what Michael Sheen's saying about, we're not going to fight them. But then he's going to stop in homage to Kill Bill Part 2 and say, then again, it was only a vision. And then he turns to Dakota Fanning and says, we need to, he says, bring me a vision. That's all we get. Okay. So that's in Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Yeah. Dong dong.
Breaking Dawn Part 3 would be, and I'm going to thumbnail this because I think if you get bogged down in the details, as I generally do with these pitches, that's never a good thing with these movies. You don't want to ask too many questions.
No.
So I'm going to keep it fairly superficial and give you the broad strokes and hope that the magic
kind of emerges. The movies are superficial. I expect nothing less.
A different kind of superficiality.
Right. Okay.
So Nessie is of age.
Yes.
As old as she's going to get.
Please, thank you.
And we kind of start with a fake out that she and Jacob are together. But we soon find out that she is in fact not with him now, but she's hanging around him because she's in love with one of the wolf cubs that Jacob is in charge of.
All right.
Jacob's taken a senior role in the werewolf.
So we've switched
pack
from him being the older person in the relationship to her being the older person in the relationship.
That's also true, and she's not interested in him romantically, even though, so we get round that, the creepiness of the imprint.
Wait, the one she's not interested in the cub?
No, she's not interested in Jacob romantically.
Okay.
She's basically said it's not going to happen even though you're imprinted on me.
All right.
But she's interested in one of the younger werewolves.
I like that of her autonomy.
Yeah.
Listen to me. No. The answer's no. No.
And then we have to go through, and basically this gives us an opportunity to do like a kind of monster version of bringing the new boyfriend home, kind of father of the bride stuff, basically. Except, you have two fathers. One of them's a werewolf, and the other father and mother are vampires. But in terms of like everyone being on board with this, it's not what you'd expect. So Jacob is obviously angry because he thought he was going to be with Nessie, and for her to pass him over for a wolf cub.
Yeah, that's two swans that said no thank you.
Right, exactly. That too. Bella, she's still kind of traumatized by what she went through giving birth to Nessie, so she doesn't want to have to deal with that with a a human werewolf vampire hybrid as well.
Right.
With her own daughter. And weirdly, Edward is the only one who's supportive of this relationship.
Okay.
Because he sees a future in which, all humans, vampires, and werewolves can live in peace because Nessie's child would be mixed between all of them. And also Nessie's progress is being monitored by Dr. Cullen. And he sort of manages to convince Bella, it's like, we know enough at this point that it could be a safe pregnancy. Then we switch to the Voltari, whose new plan to remember they always wanted to get a vampire who had visions.
Yes.
So they could see the future. Well, they've taken the long way around, and what they've done is they've started making vampires out of clairvoyants. People who are human clairvoyants and turning them into vampires.
All right.
And so they have like a vampire tarot card reader. A la Live and Let Die, a kind of...
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, that's what... So
17 minutes in, everybody.
And she presents she does a card reading, and she has a card that's the Death, the Moon. I looked these up, by the way. Death, the Moon, and the Lovers. And the tarot card reader interprets it as there's going to be a human vampire hybrid on the way.
All right.
They put two and two together, realize it's got to be Nessie who is giving birth to this child. And indeed, we find out she is pregnant with the wolf cub. He needs to have like another traditional biblical name, like Edward and Jacob. So yeah. I've decided on Zebedee. No, it'll be called Enoch or something like that. Something a bit more straight laced. So yeah, and the rest of the movie is instead of them hunting down the child that results, she's going to be pregnant for most of the movie with this baby, and she has to. They're trying to kill the baby before it's born, because they see it as they will lose all power if there is a being in the world who represents humans, vampires, and werewolves. There'll be no need for them anymore. And she goes into... They realize the Voltari are hunting Nessie once again, but this time for her unborn child. They go and they hide with some of the vampires that we met in the other movie, the Egyptian ones. So we get this very... And it's that... And so, I want there to be a very clear, Christ allegory, and the baby will be born in a stable, and and the Romans will be coming to hunt them. So it's ticks all those kind of boxes, and I don't know how
you've been underselling. This is a great idea.
But ultimately, I want the baby to survive, preferably not digitally. But I don't know the ins and outs of how that happens yet. But I want it to be a happy ending, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how to get rid of the Voltari. I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay.
So, but that's the basic premise.
All right.
So that's what it will be like if I actually did this job and made a thoughtful and appropriate sequel.
I was gonna say,
because you've not seen that side of me. Like,
yeah.
I am capable of it. I just choose not to show that.
I just like that in your underselling before we started, you made it sound like this was going to be the worst pitch. Like, don't even bother listening to it. Terrible. And then it's just straightforward, completely makes sense. Absolutely a place the story could and should go.
Yeah. But that's not what we want on Pitch a Sequel.
Yeah. At least not from you.
Not from me, no. But there you go. And
I might have taken on some of your persona.
Oh.
Just based...
not my current persona, my past persona. Okay. Yeah.
At least certainly
as long
for
as there's
my
balance
title.
In the universe.
Because I chose to call my sequel,
oh God,
The Twilight Saga, Waxing Gibbous.
I can't go on. I can't. What? I don't even know what those words mean.
Neither will anybody else, so it's fine.
What? Waxing gibbous.
Waxing gibbous. Just so that everybody in the movie can constantly be saying the waxing gibbous.
Let me tell you something. At one point, I was considering going with the title Dusk Beckons, and I thought about it and thought, people might not get that. That's a little bit contrived. And you give me waxing gibbous.
Yep.
What is going on here? We're in never mind the Twilight Saga, we're in the Twilight Zone.
That's what I did, my friend. I almost want to just end it right there, but I'm not gonna.
Oh, you've really come through for me this week.
We're going to have visions of the battle of the waxing gibbous.
Okay, so what's a gibbous and why would it be waxing?
Just another phase of the moon, my friend.
Gibbous?
Yes.
The Gibbous brothers? It's about 3 singers with buck teeth and long hair and beards.
We're just sticking with the moon theme, that's all. In this movie, Rami Malek, playing Benjamin...
Well, now that's smart.
...is going to be visiting. We are now...
Special guest star, Rami Malek.
We are now 7 years later.
Yeah.
Which means that Nessie is a full-grown woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because that will make me more comfortable. And the romance
because I can sleep at night.
Yeah, so I can sleep at night. But she and Jacob are together in my movie.
Okay, yeah. That's kind of where the movie suggests it's going.
Yeah.
The last movie, yeah.
So they are together. As Rami Malek is visiting, he's going to see that she is studying, for a PhD, I might add.
Yeah.
Volcanic activity on a computer. He's baffled by these newfangled computers and doesn't like that. And
wait. They're not Amish.
No, I just like it for the joke of him from Mr. Robot.
Oh, but he's aware of technology.
Yeah, he's aware of it. But
okay.
Not so much so that there's not going to be a huge misunderstanding, because she's going to start telling him about the probability of when Mount St. Helens will erupt again. Now,
So specific. I thought I was being overly specific with the tarot cards.
Mount St. Helens is in Washington, so it
I know,
plays.
yeah, no.
I'm just saying. And it's
I
like
know.
directly south of Seattle,
Yeah.
which this town seems to be close to.
When it needs to be,
When
yes.
it needs to be. So, he sees that she's studying this.
Uh-huh.
He's asking more about it. He seems very curious very quickly about it.
Uh-huh.
Because obviously we'll have to retcon this later in the movie. There's going
Use my time machine.
Yeah,
and take it for a
right.
spin.
There's going to be, you know, what's the word I'm trying to think of? There's going to
Earthquake?
be like a tale foretold, a premonition.
Vision. No.
Yeah, fine. But there's
If you know the word, please
for
write in.
the vampires who have control of fire, there is a legend. I'm going to use legend. Legend is what I want. There is a legend that if they are alive during an eruption of Mount St. Helens, I'll just say Mount St. Helens specifically, but
It's a very specific legend.
but it's just foretold of if there's a fire explosion that
Yeah.
they will lose their fire power. He does not want that. So
Makes total sense to me.
he's gonna leave. She's gonna say he's gonna be listening to her, and she's gonna say, "Look, I can make it do it." And he says, "What?" And she says, "I can make the volcano explode." He leaves the room. She hits the button on the computer to just do a computer model of it. This is the biggest misunderstanding in the entire series.
What's going on? I don't understand what's happening.
So he does not understand that she doesn't mean she's responsible for it. She was just going to show him something on the computer. He immediately wants to kill the Cullens because he doesn't want to lose his, or specifically he wants to kill her because he doesn't want to lose his power.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't want to be found out, however, but he doesn't feel safe going to the Volturi. So he goes to Sam. He tells Sam, who's the leader of the wolves, if you remember.
Yes.
And
Still?
he's going to say that that Nessie is specifically going to make Mount St. Helens erupt again. This makes Sam go nuts with more misunderstanding that they might be losing their native lands because she's going to do that. So he says, you should go to the Volturi. The Volturi are up for this. Arlo's up for it because if the wolves are on his side, he could attack again and the vision will no longer be complete.
Yeah.
So we're going to rebattle.
Oh, right. I see. So you're going back to the misunderstanding
Yeah,
equals battle formula.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's a do-over.
It's a do-over. But what we're going to see is one, Rami Malek, of course, will find out that he was mistaken. So as they come to each other, the wolves and the Volturi on one side, and the Cullens, and we'll bring back all our vampire friends, all our people from Brazil and Ireland and God knows where else.
Please don't bring back the Irish vampires.
And we're reconstituting the battle. Now, Arlo is he's like a pig in shit because he thinks he's solved his problem.
Right.
But what he doesn't realize is this. Do you remember the big giant vampire who gets torn to pieces in the vision right before he says, finally?
Yes.
So, that's a source of conflict. So Arlo has him destroyed at the beginning of this movie, which the other Volturi don't like. So when they all come together, Benjamin will be with the Cullens, which signals to Sam, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Now, it will turn out that even though she's human, Nessie does have a power, and it's the power to put thoughts in people's minds. And she's going to say, hey, Sam.
It's good.
Making a mistake, and this is why. And so we got the wolves, we've got Benjamin, we've got the Cullens, and even the Volturi, who have grumblings about what Arlo did. They all descended upon Arlo and just tear him to pieces. And so we then have a battle, no battle. And they all decide that they're going to live peacefully from now on.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
Wow.
That was the reaction I wanted. That one word. Wow.
I mean, I can't underline how eerie it is to, like, not only that you come up with a pitch that I could have come up with, but that even the way you're breaking it down.
Yes.
Like,
very Tom Stewart-like.
Unnecessarily detailing the dialogue. So he goes into that room, and then he shuts the door, and it's like, it's crazy. That's the best. That's the best sequel I never pitched.
Thank you.
No, but there's some really great stuff in there. I like what's kind of interesting is like I didn't know how to end mine, but I would do something similar. It makes sense.
Plus, everybody in this movie is constantly going to be saying, "We're going to have to battle on the waxing gibbous."
I'm out. I wouldn't end with that. Yeah. I thought you were going to say that everyone in the movie at some point would have to say he deserves to know.
Yeah, I did forget that.
Yes, that's fascinating. Yeah. I think while that's crazy, as I'm sure you know, it's an in-context craziness.
Exactly.
Because you have misunderstanding, battle that never happens, happy ending, with all the characters as we know them in place.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I mean, I'm going to have to beef it up because we haven't even talked about, obviously there's going to be the romance between Jacob and Nessie.
It might have to be 2 movies, Mike.
We might have to break it into 2 movies. It's going to be.
You know how these movies
you're going to have that thing between the parents and the children. Yeah.
You know how these movies like to take their time where romance is concerned.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Waxing
I still
think
there's room for movement on the title.
Waxing Gibbous parts 1 and 2.
So what is a waxing gibbous? What does it look like?
Almost full.
We'll just call it the Twilight Saga, almost full moon. Hey, no one's used full moon.
That's
Can't it
true.
just be full moon?
Here, I'll show it to you. We got wanning and waxing. Wanting, yeah.
To justify my love. Yeah. Full moon. You should call it full moon, but that's my only note. Everything else. Maybe you could take another pass at the computer volcano subplot.
Come on, that's the best misunderstanding for the entire series.
I think that only
it
works.
It finally lays out bare how ridiculous all these misunderstandings are.
Unless you substitute Rami Malek with like a vampire who's like such a vampire purist, he refuses to like acknowledge modern technology beyond the era that he was
Right.
born. I think that would work.
This
then.
might be a springboard for a whole nother thing, because like I also started thinking ideas about are the vampire parents going to make their child immortal once she's an adult? What's that do to Jacob? Do they make Jacob a vampire werewolf?
Well, that's a bit. I mean, that is the. It's also why the Twilight Saga 1,000 Years pitch fell down. It's like, because then the Jacob couldn't be there unless you turn him into a vampire. But I don't know if you can turn a werewolf into a vampire.
These are important questions that need to be answered.
My feeling is no.
My feeling is yes. And you can spend
until
five
the movie
movies
tells
trying
us...
to convince him to do it.
Well, but we had that when
Look at me here pitching for more sequels to beyond just the one.
When the vampire baby came about, there was a similar conversation where, I mean, the first thing I wrote is, based on everything I know, this is impossible for her to give birth to a vampire baby. And then they have that conversation in the movie. They sort of say, I didn't think it was possible. And like, oh, well, there's legends of... So I guess nothing is off the table, mythologically.
Clearly.
In this series. Interesting. So, well, Waxing Gibbous.
Yeah.
Breaking Dawn Part 3. All right. Yeah, it's great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
You've definitely got choices.
I'll say.
No, there's definitely no overlap between these two ideas. In the best possible way.
In the best possible way. All you have to do, dear listeners, is decide which one you want more. So, if you like Tom's Breaking Dawn Part 3, let us know. If you like my Waxing Gibbous,
Part 1 and 2.
By all means, we'll set you an appointment to have your head checked. I think it's a winner. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to let us know. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Send us an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, I am Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. We'll be back next time for another series. We'll be ranking. Say goodbye, Tom.
How about Face Punch? Heard of that?
Did you pick that one just after my pitch? Like to give me a face punch? All right. So long, everybody.
I like to think I know something about beer, but nowadays even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need, the Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They'll try new beers, they'll tell you about beer. Think of them as your beer Sherpas guiding you up a foamy-headed mountain to reach the peak of your pint. God, I need a beer.